Well, it's all been set up then. Match 4 of this year's Weber Cup just about to get underway, and it features Lucky Larsen, the man who's never lost a Weber Cup, up against the skipper of the Americans, Sean Rash from Illinois. A very, very relaxed competitor indeed, Rash. Very, very capable man. 12 titles on the Pro Tour in the United States. And Larsen, as you heard him talking about there, as titles have eluded him lately, but he did pick up a silver earlier this year. It was in the World Bowling Tour finals. Little pat on the back there. Good luck from his compatriot Jesper Svensson. Kyle Troop and the rest of them, Marshall Kent, all departing the stage and leaving it down to the two protagonists. But Rash, the veteran, but a very, very capable bowler indeed. It's amazing to think that at the age of 35, here he is making his debut.
Well, absolutely, yes. It's difficult for the guys to get into this American Weber Cup side. Everybody wants to play. So, the first shot is a bullseye from Marshall Kent. Yeah, that's Sean Rash.
Sorry, from Sean Rash, excuse me, yeah.
No, that's quite a right title. So, he's, as you say, he's got 12 in the PBA. Martin Larsen, unfortunately, hasn't made a title over there, but he has a lot more wins around the world rather than America.
That was a bit unlucky that the 10 pin stood up, and it was luck as well. There wasn't much wrong with that pocket hit. Yeah,
they're not playing quite as straight as Rash. There's a lot of hook in the back end there. The 6 has bounced right around the 10. So this is what we call a ringing 10, and he was a bit disappointed with that shot. And unfortunately, it can only make 19 pins if he makes the spare, which he does nicely.
So that gives Sean Rash the opportunity to just cement a lead here in the early going of this one.
Yeah, Sean is a two-time major title winner in the United States. He's won the USBC Masters back in '07, and he was the Tournament of Champions winner in 2012, and he was also voted Player of the Year there, so his pedigree speaks for itself.
And his striking on this lane here in Barnsley also speaks for itself. You mentioned his win in Delaware earlier this year. He beat E.J. Tackett in the final.
Well spotted. He did indeed, yes. It was a cracking game.
Well, he can't afford another bit of misfortune here. Got to take all 10 pins here. That's another good pocket hit, and this time the 10 doesn't stick around, so Larsen on strike.
Yeah, actually just straighten that shot out a bit more. Finished quite as hard, but it's a great looking shot. Carries all 10 in the pit, and he's out with his first strike. So yes, he's in the match.
But he's going to have to wait for the American skipper to let him in. And is this another strike? Yes, it is. Again, lots of revs, lots of velocity as well. Another real power player, Sean Rash.
Freshly dressed this lane, hard and fast, lots of rotation in the back end. Accuracy and repeatability. I've said it before, and this man's definitely got it and is enjoying himself.
He really is. Got his nose in front, and it just keeps all the pressure here on Martin Larsen. And he's responding very well. Remember, the only difference is there was a 10 pin that stuck around when it could have gone on another day on that first frame. That's the only difference between the two of them. So as it is, Larsen just has to sit there and wait to see if misfortune balances out in this match, and it usually does.
Martin had the high game last year in the Weber Cup, over 289. So he's certainly likes this lane, and he's never been beaten. So it will be interesting to see.
Oh, he's lucky to get away with that. He's very lucky. That one did get offline, and he very nearly left himself a nasty split. As it is, the 10 is standing.
Yes, indeed. Once again, hard and fast. A bit light on the head pin and leaves the 4-pin standing with the 10-pin. But some dead wood flying around to take the 4-pin out. So a straightforward spare.
Well, that is the advantage of just generating so much power. That there is a lot of action in the pin area. And there is a chance that a pin that's left standing will get taken out. That avoided a very unpleasant situation there for Sean Rash, but that potentially, if Larsen strikes here, levels this one up.
Yeah, big ball for Martin Larsen. As I was saying, this is 5 Weber Cups he's played in, but he's never been beaten.
Dear, oh dear, he's going to be beaten here if he bowls like that again. That one did not seem to have the right line at all, and there's the result off the back end.
No, it's wide off the target. Only just makes the headpin, leaves the 4 pins, which we call the bucket. It's the 2, 4, 5 and the 8-pin. So the most he can make here if he spares it is 16 pins, but he's got to be quite accurate here to take that pin out at the back, which is the 8-pin. And we've had a false start, so I'm just wondering what that was all about.
Well, it could have been absolutely anything. We have seen, as you were talking about how difficult this is, we've seen a lot of these missed. You see ball deflecting off pins. And it's that back one that you've got to really worry about, but he made absolutely sure there was nowhere to hide for those pins.
Yeah, good looking spare. Unfortunately, it was only a 6 spare, so 16 pins. And he's now trailing by 14. Rash has almost been perfect. He absolutely jumped to the chance of accepting an invite to this Weber Cup.
Well, it's what you do if your opponent has a bad frame, you have to punish it.
He's really enjoying himself here. I mean, that was a real hit him thin, make him spin sort of shot, and EJ Tackett's just giving him some words of advice. Throw it straighter, lift up from behind it. Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, I bet Sean Rash would have said, hey, you lost your match, EJ. I'm winning mine.
Yeah, both major tournament winners, but yeah, it was a great looking shot.
I don't get the feeling Sean Rash needs an awful lot of help. And Martin Larsen doesn't need a lot of help either. He's back online, but damage already done here for Martin.
Yeah, 14 pins remains the difference between them as Martin shoots his 3rd strike of the game.
Well, what we're seeing is freakishly high scores are winning points here at the Weber Cup. Nothing lower so far than 278. Larsen can't make 278. You have a couple of spares. You know, the point's virtually gone. The standard is so high now.
Well, that's right. It's the same as last year with this World Bowling scoring system. 30 pins every strike. There's no count back or double count back for spares and turkeys. It's a straight 30 pins. The frame is scored as it stands. It's called the completed frame system. And yes, it does allow for high scores.
Well, he's not out of touch here, but he does need to strike out, Larsen. That'll do it.
Well, he likes this lane, and there's no reason once he gets locked in, he could well strike out, but it can only be 275.
Which, as I say, if that goes on to win this point, that'll be the lowest winning total so far. And at the moment, it's Sean Rash's point to lose. He's dialed in at the moment and stays dialed in. Just a danger there. That was going to drift out of the pocket. He got so much rotation off the back end of it, but it just stayed on.
Well, it is a freshly dressed lane, so there is oil there. And both these guys are playing pretty much the same line. So it's a matter of who can hang on to that line without having to move soonest. Four strikes so far for Martin Larsen. Really needs to keep going. Certainly really can't afford another spare.
Ooh.
Great looking shot.
Yeah, really.
3 strikes in a row. Keeps him in the game. Only just though.
Now, Martin's done what he had to do here. It'll be very interesting to watch this next ball coming up from Sean Rash, because he only just made the pocket last time.
Yeah, he's throwing it quite fast, I must admit, but he is getting the reaction in the back end. Snaps that wrist, which puts the rotation on the ball, and unfortunately he's hit that so hard. The angle wasn't quite right.
He was in the pocket though.
Yeah, it certainly was, but the six has bounced around that 10. Didn't even touch it, only 9.
Now that difference that you see, and let's assume he makes this spare, which he does, that difference there of the maximum, 275, 278, that is directly down to the 4 pins Martin Larsen left when he was left with the bucket. That's how costly that one shot may prove to be. But this is now officially too close to call.
Yeah, had Martin struck on that 6 spare, he'd have made 30 pins. He had a 6 spare, which is only 16, so it's a loss of 14 pins in one ball. That's the glory of the system.
He's kicked out that 10, keeping the pressure on, but frames running out now.
Well, it's almost advantage to Larsen. He's only 3 pins behind now. Everything's square, apart from the 3-pin lead that Rash has got. We're in the end of the 8th frame. As you say, Nick, it's foundation frame coming up, number 9.
But the reality is, back-to-back strikes here from Rash, and he'll seal the point. And he's missed one. He's missed it. Now.
Gosh. I mean, how close was that to a strike? To the naked eye, you'd think, well, that's a great ball in the pocket. Why is the 4-pin left standing? Well, it's because he hit the head pin a bit too high, I'm afraid.
He got away with that earlier. A very similar shot. This time, the pins remembered. And it now means that Martin Larsen can strike out and take the point. The initiative has switched. It's not over yet, but for the first time in this match, the front runner, Sean Rash, is in danger of being overhauled here by Martin Larsen, who's been chasing and sticking around.
Yeah, a strike here could be the match winner with a frame to go.
Absolute silence has descended on the arena. Huge ball. And not for the first time, Larsen checks.
We don't know why, but he's decided to do that, so he'll go back and regroup. He knows this is a really important ball in the 9th frame for Team Europe.
Didn't see anything that put him off in the crowd there, but you would hope that he's not thinking, yeah, I've got to get a strike here, and out-psyching himself, if you like. Well, let's see. What does he come up with? Huge ball. Oh, he doesn't get it. He doesn't get it.
Oh dear, that would have given him the lead.
And just like that, it means that Rash with a strike next cannot be caught.
Yeah, he'll sew it up with 1 ball to go. It's the angle of the approach here. It's just too wide. It hasn't hit the head pin properly. That's why the 10-pin's standing. The reaction on the 3, 6 and the 10-pin wasn't right.
We need to hear from Martin, if it's at all possible, at the end of this match. What happened there? Why did he pull up before his ball in that 9th frame? Because that was a hugely significant moment in this match, and it could have cost him the point if Rash strikes out here. What put Martin off his stroke? Very simple. If he strikes, USA go 3-1 up. Anything else, the Europeans can jump on it. So this, a huge ball here for the skipper. And he has led by example. He must have been a worried man there.
Well, it was going to be the first one to strike, and Rash was up first and he struck, and that's it. Game over. I know not everybody likes this world bowling scoring system, but from where I sit, the games are looking pretty good to me.
Well, it gives you nowhere to hide if something goes wrong, that's for sure, this current system. So, for Martin Larsen, well, he didn't live up to his nickname, did he? He's been edged out of it. 267, 264. The frustration for Larsen there. He had an opportunity to come from behind and pinch the point there. Just 1 pin stood up, and that meant but the opportunity was gone. Rash with the chance to seal the point with a strike. Nailed it. USA wins their 3rd point. They lead this one 3-1. That, though, was a nail-biter. Really good action here at the 2018 Weber Cup.